come first. For the record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And the Cayman Islands National Museum. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990. 949-8037 or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Live from Radio Cayman Studio.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
With Orrett Connor.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is For the Record.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Friday, the 14th day of February 2025, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Ladies out there, happy Valentine's Day to you. If time allows, I will share with you a little bit about the history of Valentine's Day as well. So we hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on our roads, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, ensure that you observe the rules of the road because the life you save may just be your own. Not sure whether or not an accident has been cleared on almost opposite the Lions Center. There is a Volkswagen vehicle that is sitting perpendicular to the median. Don't understand how it got there. I'm not sure whether or not it may have been coming out from the Baptist church area, because that, to me, is the only way that vehicle could be perpendicular to the median. But for some reason, it is there, so that may have been slowing up traffic for a while. So we urge you to please be patient out there, be courteous, observe the rules of the road as well. Those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, we want to wish you a happy birthday and to remind you that For the Record birthday shoutouts brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shoutouts. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And by Yum. Yum delivers quality and nutritious meals to over 3,000 students daily. With over 5 million school lunches served to date, Yum is more than just a lunch provider. It is also a trusted partner to busy parents and the Cayman Islands community. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. And again, I take this opportunity to wish our colleague, DJ Lynn, a speedy recovery as well. And also our other colleague as well, Mr. Joel. So we want to wish Joel a speedy recovery also. Those So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor. You're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice again of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. Our numbers are a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. Also 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp number 925-3261. Follow us on YouTube. You do that by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. And don't forget that we are on Facebook as well. So let's look at the birthday shout-outs. So first of all, we have happy birthday greetings going out to Marilyn Rankin, of East End, coming from sister to Sadie Shillette. She celebrates her 90th birthday tomorrow as well. So, happy birthday greetings to Miss Marilyn Rankin of East End, who's the sister to Miss Sadie Shillette. And Marilyn celebrates her 90th birthday tomorrow. Let's look. Here's another one here. This one has to do about the dentist in the BRAC. We will share that with you later as well. Let's see all of the other birthdays taking place today. Joe Watler celebrating his birthday today. Lisa Cummings celebrating her birthday today. Tomorrow, we know that Miss Kim Bullens will be celebrating her birthday. Denise Ebanks will also be celebrating a birthday tomorrow, as well as Nikita Stewart celebrating a birthday as well. And again, we want to remind you that, For the Record, birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. And by Yum. Yum delivers quality and nutritious meals to over 300 students daily, with over 5 million school lunches are served to date. Yum is more than just a lunch provider. It is also a trusted partner to busy parents and the Cayman Islands community. So their menus are available to browse on the Yum website. All you have to do is visit yumcayman.ky for more information. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we return, I will introduce my guest who is in the studio. So don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Alexander Selvin Eden, 1888 through 1985. Alexander Selvin Eden was a dedicated family man. He and his wife, Sarah Leonie Nee West, had 7 children, and their father made sure that they had the best education available. He loved to work the land and also raised livestock, providing steady employment for others. As a young man, he worked overseas on the construction of the Florida East Coast Railway, returning home after World War I. His major contribution was filling the void in transportation of goods and passengers between Georgetown and Bordentown, which he did with a horse-drawn carriage for 35 years in all kinds of conditions. The government called upon him for many duties in his district, including police service, tax collection, operation of the cattle dip to control ticks, service as foreman of roadworks, and as pound keeper,
keeping stray cattle until their owners reclaim them, and the maintenance of telephone lines. He also served as a member of the Assembly of Justices and Vestry.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
It will be Saturday, March 1st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The 13th Annual Rotary Central Health Check Lifesaver, a mini medical just for you, free to you. Your blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, hemoglobin, weight management, and more. Free medical guidance, doctors, nurses, medical technicians, free glucometers, blood pressure monitors, subject to conditions. Save the date, March 1. See you at Hostuless West Bay Road, A.L. Thompson's Home Depot, Foster's Airport, Foster's West Bay, Savannah United Church. The Rotary Central Health Check 25 Lifesaver, March 1st, supported by the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens and the Health Services Authority of the Cayman Islands. Knowing changes everything.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Hi, I'm Max. What's your favorite part of school?
I love science. I love playing outside. What's yours?
It's lunch.
Ha! Yum. Yes, yum.
Yum School Lunch program ensures your kids have fresh, healthy lunch options every day. Yum School Lunches are now available at selected private and public schools across Grand Cayman.
My favorite food from school is pasta, jerk chicken, and spaghetti and meatball.
I love Cayman-style beef, chicken curry. Yum. We love school lunch. Yum.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Before I introduce my guest, we have a few more birthday shout-outs. So we see that Louis Chung celebrating a birthday today, and also Rona Webster celebrating her 11th birthday today, and they want to wish her the best Valentine gift ever, wishing her a wonderful day and hope she has a blast at her school sports day today. Lots of love from all of her family. So we want to thank them for that. This person says, Happy Valentine's Day to my beautiful wife, Francia Lloyd McLaughlin, with all my love, coming from Errol. Want to make sure I have covered all of them. Yes, I have. So, folks, right here on Radio Cayman, the date, and I'm not sure if it's the day as well, but the date that he announced his candidacy for our Parliament, right here on For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than former Deputy Premier and Member of Parliament, Mr. Chris Saunders. Chris, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Morning, Osi, and thanks very much. Yeah, you're right. I just realized the last two, both for 2017 and the 2021 elections, I actually declared on Valentine's Day. And I guess today will be no different. I mean, it has brought me luck the last two times, so I mean, why change a working formula?
Exactly.
But the thing about it is, OC, it's weird because one of the reasons why I actually choose Valentine's Day, I mean, other than it being a day of love, you notice all my messages always end with the same one love Cayman. Well, the one love comes from the part that I actually share birthday with Bob Marley. Well, that's where the one part comes from. But it has always been about love. And the reason why I say that is that as human beings, we're born with 6 primary emotions. 4.5 of those 6 are negative. So you think about fear, anger, sadness, disgust, those are all negative. Then there's surprise, that can either be good or bad. Then there's joy or happiness, which is the 6th one. And the only way, so in essence, as human beings, we are actually programmed to receive negative information. We're programmed to process things more negatively. You know what I mean? And as a result, the only way that you can overcome that level of negativity is love. That is the only thing. And the thing about it is in political science, and I'd reminded my colleagues of this last week when we were in Parliament, when you study people like Machiavelli would tell you that people are motivated by 2 basic emotions, fear and love. Like you get up, you go to work for your family, you do what you need to do because either A, you fear what will happen to your family if you don't have an income, or B, you love your family, you want the best for them. Either way, you get up and go to work. But the question is, what is it that motivates you? And they will tell you that, as political leaders, you appeal to people's fear for the simple fact that people decide who they love. People don't decide who or what they fear. So you kind of choose the one emotion that people have no control over. And the only thing that overrides that constantly is love. And that is why I've always pushed a campaign. That's why, you have never heard me publicly get up and say anything negative about anybody. I disagree with your policies. Although in recent, there have been a few attacks that have been coming my way. And now you need to throw a few attacks that the people know that, listen, there ain't no walk over, no push over here too. So every now and then you just need to remind people that, listen, I may be nice, I may sound nice, but don't for 1 minute think nice gets anything done. Because for what it is that we do, we are in the business of changing people's lives. And as much as I would like to say to you that you have to be nice about it sometimes, the truth of the fact is, sometimes it don't work. And especially when you need something done for somebody right here, right now, and someone is trying to do it at a different time when someone has an urgency, that can't fly with me. So every now and then you have to give people a little nudge to kind of get things moving. Before we get into the show, I don't know if you're aware, our good friend Webby He lost his father yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because
You know what I
I
mean?
spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. I knew he was,
and
you know, wow.
I went to visit the family yesterday. I mean, like with anything else, they're taking it hard. But I feel it for the family because just last month, Webby's sister, Webby's brother-in-law, lost both parents back to back within a day of each other.
Wow.
Like one went like Wednesday, one will go like the Thursday. Like literally a day with each other, mother and father. You know what I mean? And you know, last night when I was leaving the house, I went to go look for my own mother. And also, let me tell you something. Sometimes we sit down here and we think we have problems. Let me tell you something, folks. Once you have your health, you're fine. You know, and I mean, we're talking about birthday shout-outs. I mean, I was surprised. I mean, I know you're older than me, but 74, by the happy belated birthday. If you think you were getting away with it.
Thank you.
You know?
I'm the same to you.
Yeah, thank you.
February 6th.
Yeah, and you're the 5th. You know, but for 74, OC, I'm sitting down there and then listening to you riding up 90 miles per hour. 90 miles last Sunday. I'm like, if I can find a bicycle seat comfortable enough that I can sit on for so long, I will probably come join you because clearly, whatever you're doing, it's working. You know, but
thank you.
One of the things, OC, but the health is one of the main things, and that for me more than anything, until we get that free health care in for our seniors and our children, that is something that I can't afford to let go. That is the number one thing where most people come to me with. They need that NAU, financial assistance department assistance when they come onto that health insurance. And as I said to people, now we have about 14,000 voters at least we can tell of that in the next 12 years are going to hit the age of 65. And there's literally no health insurance waiting for them. And in 2023, we spent $78 million to take care of like 2,000 people.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And if we do not address this issue right now, when it comes on to healthcare in this country and having people having access to it, it is going to be a problem. And for the many of the people that I speak to and for many of the people that I represent, not even just in Bodden West, but outside, that healthcare issue is one of the issues that keep people awake at night. And that's one of the things that we need to start taking a little bit more serious now in terms of that regard, in terms of getting stuff in place. We can't wait for when people go to retire. We need to start laying the groundwork from now. I'm pleased that the motion I took, despite media reports, the motion actually passed. In terms of creating a healthcare fund for Cayman people, effective the 1st of January 2026, it passed unanimously. Now, the issue was who was going to pay for it. Nobody wanted the 2% tax on foreigners. I know the Spain went and put 100%, but nobody said anything. You know what I mean? But they were basically upset about over the 2%. And I didn't really push it because when I did put the motion out there, some of the feedback I got was, Chris, you guys looking at doing a referendum on a national lottery. Let's see how much money we can raise from that first. And then where we fall short, we can probably look at different revenue. So I don't know how much we're going to make from it. So that's why I really didn't push in terms of the property tax. But ultimately, something has to give. I know you're looking at the clock.
We have 30 seconds. I want you to give our audience a little feel for some of the things that you're going to be discussing.
What I want to do is give an update on what happened in the last session of Parliament and then pretty much lay down the foundation in terms of what it is that is, I believe, is important to the Caymanian people and what it is that we need to focus on to really start making people's lives better.
Okay, folks, we've reached the top of the hour. We're going to have our 8 o'clock news, and when we return, the conversation with MP Chris Saunders will continue. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
Foster's will no longer sell single-use plastic bags at checkout. Another step in our commitment to empowering a sustainable Cayman. Bag for better with our more resilient, cost-effective reusable bag designed to help reduce plastic waste while protecting our island's natural beauty. By choosing these reusable bags and repeatedly using them, you play a pivotal role in the fight against waste. Every small choice adds up to something greater. So help us make a meaningful impact for renewal. Foster's, better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
I'm April Cummings with your latest news. Caribbean Utilities says its investments in renewable energy and grid improvements are paying off for residential customers. CUC says the average residential bill will be 16% lower for January 2025 compared to the same period last year. Grand Cayman's utility provider has completed upgrades to power generators, installed battery storage, and has begun putting power lines underground in order to improve reliability, especially for essential services like hospitals. CUC says the initiatives have already resulted in fuel cost savings for customers. The mental health of Cayman's youth will take center stage tomorrow as the Alex Panton Foundation hosts the 8th Annual Youth Mental Health Symposium. Radio Cayman's Dion Anglin has more on the event that is happening tomorrow.
This year's theme is Turning the Tide Together, providing hope for our youth. And organizers say this is in response to Cayman's youth joining the world's teens in facing a, quote, rising tide of mental health challenges like anxiety, depression, and stress. And it's more important than ever to, quote, create a supportive environment. The Alex Panton Foundation says by working collectively and fostering open dialogue, parents, educators, policymakers, and the community can explore solutions and inspire action for youth mental health. To register for the free event, head to alexpantonfoundation.ky. The symposium is February 15th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can stay updated about the event via the Alex Panton Foundation social media channels and their website. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Dion Anglin.
Theater lovers, it is time to snag your seats for the latest production of the Prospect Playhouse. Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller spoke with Cayman Drama Society's Kirsty O'Sullivan.
Kirsty, I know we haven't had a show at the Drama Society since the Christmas Frizz and Grizz, but we've got something on the horizon. Tell me what you got going on.
The Cayman Drama Society's next play is Private Lives by Noel Coward. It is truly the perfect Valentine's gift.
When's the show running?
The show plays from the 13th to the 29th of March, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And tickets will be available at www.cds.ky.
Awesome. And why Private Lives?
We chose Private Lives to bring some comedy to our stage this year. This style's always been a big hit with our audiences, and it's a comedy of manners, which means it's a bit of satire at how it portrays the upper class of the 1930s. And it actually was first performed in 1930, so it's been hitting stages around the world for almost 100 years. It's still a hugely successful play, and performers such as Burton and Taylor, Alan Rickman, Dame Maggie Smith, and even Noel Coward himself have all taken to the stage to play these iconic roles.
And what can folks expect?
You can expect to laugh and possibly be a little bit shocked, but I'll not give too much away. Private Lives, coming this March. Tickets at www.cds.ky.
And that is your local news for this hour. I'm April Cummings from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Now to the BBC for stories making headlines around the world.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. The chairman of the Munich Security Conference says the US delegation is expected to tell Europe that it must look after its defence on its own. Christoph Heusgen told the BBC that he hoped European leaders would say the continent was ready. The meeting will focus on the war in Ukraine. Britain's Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has assured President Zelensky that his country will continue to offer Ukraine what he called concrete support and back its path to NATO membership. China appears to have rejected a suggestion by Donald Trump that the US, Russia and China should all cut military spending by half and reduce their nuclear weapons. A Chinese official said the US should take the lead in making cuts. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says a Russian drone has struck a protective cover at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed there had been an explosion at the site and published pictures of the drone on fire. Prosecutors in Germany say the man accused of driving a car into a crowd of demonstrators on Wednesday has no links to any terrorist groups. They say he appears to have acted alone. There's been outrage in South Korea after one of its star footballers, Hwang Ui-jo, was given a suspended jail term by a court for filming sexual encounters with women without their consent. A lawyer for one of the victims called the ruling hideous. The UN Secretary-General has called for an end to the influx of weapons fueling the war in Sudan. Antonio Guterres was speaking at a summit in Ethiopia to discuss the conflict. 6 members of a criminal gang in Indonesia have been handed long prison sentences for killing dozens of rare Javan rhinos. Less than 100 of them are thought to exist. They're hunted for their horns, which are sold on to dealers in China. Conservationists have praised the ruling. That's the latest world news from the BBC.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit CaymanAirways.com/cargo.
Experience the soulful fusion of reggae and jazz with Benil Miller and his reggae orchestra at the 2025 Cayman Arts Festival. The multi-talented singer, songwriter and instrumentalist known for his unique blend of roots reggae, modern Caribbean and jazz. Saturday, February 15th at 7 p.m. at the Harkfield Theatre. Tickets are just $40 for adults and $15 for students. Call 922-5550 or email inquiries at CaymanArtsFestival.com for more details.
Sports. Stay up to date on your sports news with Radio Cayman Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. It's all about sports.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcade, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 80 degrees. Relative humidity is 86%. The barometric pressure is 10206 millibars. The wind is east at 7 knots. Overnight low was 77. Synopsis indicate moderate winds and seas expected to continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a high-pressure system over the Atlantic Ocean. Radar images show scattered showers southwest of the Cayman area, moving towards the southwest. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Your winds will be east at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet for tonight. High tide will be this morning at 10:33, low tide this afternoon at 4:43, and a high tide again tonight at 10:56. The sun will set this evening at 6:24 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:54. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning. A decrease in wind speed is expected thereafter, as the pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean weakens. And that's the very latest on your weather report.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. Don't lie on your resume. Because if you say you've got trapeze experience, someone might shoot you out of a cannon and expect you to do a gymnast routine while flying through the air at 82 miles an hour. And just because you want to land on your feet doesn't mean you will. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance, so you get the best coverage for the price.
Get the best coverage for the price. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by
CG Brit-K, where people come first. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman is proud to continue to serve our island community. During the last Lionistic year, they successfully carried out community projects like the Prostate and Colon Cancer Awareness Campaign, site screenings, spelling bees, swim meets, and their community food pantry. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman looks forward to continuing their service during the 2024-2025 Lionistic year and for many more years to come. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman, where there's a need, there's a lion, serving the community for over 50 years.
Hi, I'm Deputy Governor Franz Manderson, and I'm excited to announce the DG's 5K Challenge is just around the corner. We kick off things in Little Cayman on March 9th, followed by Cayman Brac on March 16th, and the grand finale on Grand Cayman on March 30th. This year, we're supporting the Cayman Islands Girls Brigade, the Cayman Islands Scouts Association, and the 1-to-1 Foundation, each helping to shape our next generation. Join us in making a positive impact. For registration details, find us on Facebook at DG's 5K Challenge.
Funky Tang's Valentine's Sale is on now. Head over to Funky Tang's, 2 locations, Shedden Road and Countryside, Savannah, and take 10% off on Lasco Tower fans, Queen and King sheet sets, 32-inch Pioneer TVs, Puya tablets, blenders and hair clippers, blackout curtains and shower curtains. And while you're there, take 20% off those TC60 Bluetooth earbuds. For more info, call 949-0998. That's 949-0998. Funky Tanks, the home of electronics and more.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Good morning again. Let's take a look. But first of all, happy Valentine's. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Coming from the east, steady traffic on Shamrock Road, coming off of Rex Creighton Boulevard. Further down on Shamrock Road, as you approach the Linford-Pearson Highway, traffic is steady. And further down on the Linford-Pearson Highway, really bumper-to-bumper traffic. Traffic is steady coming off of Bobby Thompson Way as well as off of the Linford-Pearson Highway on Agnes Way. Delays expected. As we turn our attention to the West Bay area, from the West Bay 4-way start flowing pretty good. On the West Bay Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. Coming off of the Esley Tibbetts Highway, moderate flow of traffic. And continuing on to North Sound Road, Industrial Park area, flowing pretty good. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is flowing at a good pace in both directions. Atwood Street is closed. Please follow the traffic signs as there's a diversion in place. And that's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes past 12. We'll give you another look at traffic. Have a good morning and drive safe.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Vendors. Last call for vendors for Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day. The 56th Annual Agriculture Show. Position your business and products in front of tens of thousands of people in one day at the Stacy Watler Agriculture Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, March 5th. Contact Kelly Holding on 623-8822 to book your vendor stall today. The 56th Annual Agriculture Show. Ash Wednesday, March 5th.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Saunders. And before I throw the mic back over to him, and I'm sure that this will be covered as we get closer to the election on the 30th of April, but one of our listeners wanted to know whether or not in the election, if a person can vote for on the referendum questions and not a candidate, and whether or not that will be will constitute a spoiled ballot if you only vote on the referendum question. You have a choice. You can vote for candidate and not the referendum. You can, or vice versa, vote the referendum and not the candidate. What I would say to you is that you have an opportunity to exercise your constitutional right, and you should really exercise it one way, or the other. But you should really take the opportunity to vote on both issues if you want your voice to be heard as well. Mr. Saunders, back over to you. Any advice for that writer?
I would tell them to exercise their vote on the candidate. If they don't make a vote, someone wouldn't still technically, they would technically have voted because they could have gone either way.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm sorry that, they don't see a candidate that they would like at this time, but I would encourage them to go out, look at the candidate track record, and just try to understand them a little bit better.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult sometimes, where, especially in a small community as ours, people would like to see their politicians more. And I wish I could be a social butterfly sometimes also. But when you're doing a lot of research and, you're in a lot of meetings and you're trying to get stuff done for people, sometimes those things take up so much of your time. And you try to give everyone almost like a triad system, worst is first kind of thing. Because sometimes when people, they don't really understand some challenges some people really are having. And sometimes that take up so much of your time dealing with those people that, sometimes people be like, oh, I can't see him. I'm like, but you're okay. You got a good job. You got your health. You got everything else. There are people out there not as fortunate as you that requires more time than you. So it's not a matter where you can give everyone the same equal amount of time. If someone is okay, then, they're okay. So it's kind of one. But I hope that person at least find someone that they can vote for.
Yeah, because a no vote,
it's still a vote.
It's still a vote.
Yep.
It is still a vote. Yes, it's still a vote.
And the thing about it is, OC, I love campaigning. I love the idea of going out and getting a chance to meet people. For me, it's fun. I actually enjoy it. I love when I do my back to school. I like my Christmas visits and so forth. But I always remember the first time after the 2017 election when I looked for this one lady. Well, I can't call her old lady, although she's elderly. But it's the kind of person that when you visit, you never ever want to leave. She's a walking encyclopedia of history, of things, not just happening in Cayman, but elsewhere, because she was well-traveled, worked in different places. And I remember about 3 weeks after the election, I went to visit her, and she's like, what are you coming here for? She's like, listen, I don't want no social worker, If there are people who come sit down and talk to you, say, you're not going to sit down and come talk to me. You get paid to talk to me. No. I want to see you busy. Don't come out unless you got a gift or something with me. You don't come out, And I've always remembered that. Where she's like, and then you have other people who be like, oh, well, I need to see you more on this. And I'm like, okay, anything in particular? No, I just wanted to see you. I'm like, okay. So it's kind of one of those things in terms of finding the balance. But I would say to that person, take the time to learn the candidate. Sometimes people see politicians, I always say representative. And I guess because I'm in it now, and seeing some of my colleagues and the challenges some of my colleagues have, even family life and everything else, finding that balance. I mean, some of us have, more mature kids, some of us, younger kids and so forth. But at the end of the day, I like to see a lot of people getting involved in the process too. I mean, I think the other day, I think someone was mentioned to me that there's a young lady running in Prospect, Crystal, where she was basically...
Crystal Gomez, yeah.
Yeah, I know Crystal. I work with Crystal. Crystal is a good person. You know what I mean? And we should be encouraging more people to get involved in the political process. And I love to see the fact that here's a young lady, I mean, especially getting women also involved in the process too is also good, because 56% of the population or thereabouts is actually female. 56% of voters, I think, are actually female. So it's good to see people coming in. And so I would say to Crystal and others thinking about it, that listen, don't let those attacks or whatever sway you. I mean, I know her from Digital. She's a hard-working young lady, and I'm just happy to see her getting involved in the process. And yes, we're not on the same team, but that doesn't mean that you can't sit down and be nice. You know what I mean? I wish a lot of my colleagues luck. There's some people I hope don't get reelected. But at the end of the day, I also do recognize that the purpose of election is to determine the will of the people. That's really all it is. You know what I mean? And for us, it's about running a campaign to saying, guys, these are what we consider priorities. I mean, for me, it's the free healthcare is one of the things that keep me awake at night. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is this. For me, having been now an elected person and working in government, I'm okay on the healthcare coverage side. I mean, if I pass away tomorrow, I would even get a nice government funeral and everything, just by virtue of being an elected person. But that doesn't mean that because I am okay and covered in that regard, that I can leave this problem here. You know what I mean? And this is one of the things that really and truly OC that we need to tackle. One of the other issues that I'm really working hard for, and I think I'm now getting others to see it my way now, is certainty. If there's one currency that the economy needs, it is certainty. This up and down, like on the mortgage rates, you can worry about the Fed rate going up, Fed rate going down. There's no reason that mortgages in Cayman can't be fixed. I mean, I have done the exercise, the tools are there, and to give credit where credit is due, when Ken Jefferson went out and negotiated the FFR for the country, that net debt ratio we can up to that can't exceed 80%. That is our catch-all to help our people. So when we run around talking about people that you got good credit, it don't mean anything if your people are struggling. People are sleeping on the beach, but we got good credit. People can't feed their families, but we got good credit. You can't sell good credit. You can't do anything with that if you're not using it. You know what I mean? And one of the things OC, which I guess the nerd in me sometimes, where we sat down and we worked out using the last numbers that government published. I mean, this is, you can look at the spreadsheet here, where I put in this CIMC, the Cayman Islands Mortgage Company, right?
Okay,
Where if you look at it, this is just a 9 months worth of revenue, not even a full year revenue. If we went in and we put in the top numbers, like the amount of money if we borrowed. So if we borrowed $300 million, you see that the ratio down there moves to 21.85%. This is again on 9 months revenue. If we borrow $500 million, the ratio moves to 32.79. Bear in mind, the law allows us to go up to 80%. You know what I mean? If we can turn around and float a bond, you know what I mean, where we can say to some of our seniors, listen, we're setting aside 50, 60, 70 million of this just reverse mortgages. And the others to say to people, listen, we're going to give you now a 30-year loan at 5% fix. You know what I mean? That's it. People have to be sitting down now, one if their mortgage rate going to go up, their mortgage rate going to go down. The U.S. had 8 Fed increase rates. My cousin in Florida, her mortgage didn't move one time. I don't even want to tell you how much mine move up in the space of, like I'm talking about a $2,000 hit I took overall in my with all the interest rates, with all the interest rates and everything else.
And I'm hearing stories of those persons who have fixed rates at 4-point-something%. The banks now, the financial institutions, are now trying to get them to refinance, so that they can then put them at a higher mortgage rate. But those people are financially smart and financially savvy, and they're not falling, for the trick that the financial institutions are trying to play on that.
It's a bit tricky because it's a kind of guess. But you see, the thing about it is, you got landlord. I mean, if my property was a rental property, and like I said, my mortgage payment went up like $2,000. If I had tenants, that's a rent increase for them because there's no way I would have been sitting down and absorbing that kind of hit myself. You know, so from that standpoint, then that means your rent is actually going up also. So what we're trying to do is get certainty to the market. One of the things in the UK that they do in some areas that I like, take people light bill, for example. The utility company will say, well, okay, this is your usage last year. Say your bill was, say, $2,400 for the full year. Not anybody have that kind of bill. But just to do it for mathematical purpose. They say, well, you know, every month you pay $200. Then you choose 1 month as a rebalancing month. So you choose like a month of February where things are normally not, it's a shorter month and everything else. But while they're billing you, like even though you're paying the $200, they can say, well, this is what your bill really should have been. So you at least can say, well, okay, it's an extra $30, $40. Maybe I should just pay it now. You know, but give people at least that level of certainty. Then you have 1 month of rebalancing. But to have people, again, light bill going up and down, all over the place, when it is something that is mandatory, that you need the electricity, you know, you need the internet, just getting a fixed thing and then you have that 1 month rebalancing, as opposed to every single month where all of a sudden this bill gone up, that bill gone up. And until in a consumption-based society, you need that certainty. You know, you don't want to be going out every minute and then taking something as your light bill and your mortgage to your biggest bills that you have, or your rental bill, and then wondering if either your rent going to go up or your mortgage going to go up.
Got a question for you here before I forget it. You spoke about, you know, having to juggle as a member of parliament, you know, having to juggle and do various things. So we see recently that the House approved the historic overhaul of the standing orders. So we see some new things in there. Where are we when it comes to more technical support in our parliament for parliamentarians, like researchers and stuff like that in our parliament? Either do it in our parliament or provide our members of parliament with additional resources to pay people in their office, you know, to have that. Where are we with that? Because governing in the Cayman Islands is becoming more and more complicated. So much more to be done. We can't expect our parliamentarians to do some of the traditional things that we did 50, 60 years ago.
Now, Osi, that is a great question. And I can tell you, first of all, I need to give credit to Sir Alden for pushing through those changes to the parliamentary standing orders. It was something that would definitely increase representation in the Cayman Islands. It literally required Parliament to be in session literally almost weekly now, with a break during the summer. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday would be set aside for Parliament. I think we start like at 2 o'clock or 2:30 and go to like about 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So 3 days a week. So that's the first thing that I'm looking forward to, is that now you'll have full-time parliamentarians, which is actually a good thing. The one thing that I would love more than anything is going back to resources. We carry a lot of motions, and that's because resources are limited. I took the I went through the exercise of actually doing the consumer protection bill. Now that cost me around, I got some guys at the UK to help me with it, that cost me about £8,000 out of pocket that I had to basically find to get legal draftsmen to help. Now granted, in fairness, the bill was about, I would say 95% complete. The Law Reform Commission did the bill for the longest while. It has been sitting there from 2015. Nothing was being done. And consumer protection is something that's still badly needed. Now, when we put the bill out for consultation, the feedback that I got from people was basically like, Chris, this doesn't include the banks. This doesn't include anything with the bank. Don't bring a bill without the banks being included in it. Now, for me to have gone back now to basically put in an old section, because I went and did some research, look at what other countries had in terms of the banking protection against some of the fees and so forth that the banks are charging. And some of the quotes that I was getting, I was like, okay, there's no way I could have find it, because the 8,000 was because the bill was already about 95% complete. To have gone through now and put in a whole new section that was never in the bill or anything, I don't want to tell you some of the quotes that I was getting. And I was like, I don't have that kind of money. But if we had our own legal draftsperson inside Parliament, it would be much helpful. Because sometimes we carry motions asking the government to amend the laws, when in fact, with the right resources, we could actually just say to the legal draft person, draft this bill up, let's get it gazetted, let's get it out there for consultation, and we just go straight to doing bills. So if you look in the UK Parliament and elsewhere, people aren't carrying motions, they're carrying bills. They're changing laws. I mean, we are a legislative body. But to be asking the government in just about every motion to consider doing this or consider doing that, simply because the government has the resources to do it and we don't, that's where the challenge is. So if we want better representation from our politicians and so forth, and we want them working, we want them doing the research, we want them making the necessary legislative changes, that is what is required. But we also need to change this mindset also of doing away with the social worker type mindset. We have people that we pay to do social work in the country. You know, you don't want your legislators being the one going around being social butterflies and your work is not getting done. The issues that are important to you are not getting addressed. And then they complain about, well, why this isn't being done. You know what I mean? So it's still very limited in terms of what you have in the days. But like I said, there's still a lot more that we still can do. But it would be good to get that resource, especially in a legal drafts and standpoint.
Okay, thanks for that response. We're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. Well, I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts Building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
This is For the Record.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Happy Valentine's Day as well. My pleasure to have in the studio with me none other than MP Mr. Christopher Saunders. Mr. Saunders.
Thank you, O.C. O.C., one of the things that I would really like to see this campaign focus on, and that's one of the things about kind of trying to set the agenda, is we spend more time creating institutions as opposed to focusing on the individuals. Individuals come and goes. Institution is what stays. Mm-hmm. And I look at Cineco, for example. I mean, last year, I think, was like the 20-year anniversary of Cineco. And I'm old enough to remember the licks that Gilbert took for creating Cineco. And today, if it wasn't for Cineco, many Caymanians would not have any health insurance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and for me, one of the things that I really would love to see us get in the next term, more than anything, I'm going to ask the voters out there, for people who are not in the Bundong West area but in other areas, ask your candidates if they will support having the Cayman Islands Mortgage Company. You look in the U.S. and you look in elsewhere, there's a large percentage of mortgages that are actually owned by the U.S. government because they recognized long ago, bear in mind that they created, I think, Fannie Mae back in around 1938. So you're talking about it's been around for a long time, where that's there to make sure that Americans get home. That's the government recognizing that home ownership is not a responsibility for the banks. It's responsible for us, the people. We need to make sure that our people have a place to live. And the thing about it is, OC, why this is becoming pressing. Barring China, every single country around the world has a housing problem, has a housing shortage. And the reason for that is, this is the first time ever in recorded human history, you have 4 generations living and working together. An 18-year-old literally working alongside an 81-year-old. Never happened before. So in yesteryears gone by, the grandparent would either leave their house to their child or the grandchild. But now, the grandparent is still alive, still living in the house, still need the house. And so we are literally 1 generational housing short in just about every industrialized country around the world. And you go back, and I know you would know this, there were times when China went out and they were building these cities that had nobody in it.
Yep.
And everybody was laughing at the Chinese to saying, oh, look at that, they're building all of these cities and there's nobody there. Nobody's laughing now. Because those cities are now filled. They saw this problem coming. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with us. Like I said to people may sit down and curse Dr. Frank for what it is that he tried to do. You know what I mean? They complain about the quality of the house or this or that, but the point that they missed was from 20 years ago, Dr. Frank recognized Cayman had this housing problem coming.
The concept.
You know what I mean? And so from that standpoint now, we need to sit down and recognize that it's here. And then on top of that now, we have, the world has changed because now you got Airbnb. So before, properties that people used to have on the domestic rental market has now moved over to the Airbnb market, which is then reducing the home stock. And if you look at the population between the census and the last labor force survey that we did, the population went up by 25% in like 3 years. You know what I mean? Show me where the housing stock or show me where the room stock went up in the same period of time. So when you have a situation now where the population is growing, but the infrastructure isn't growing to do it, the demand is increasing, the supply remains steady, or flat, what do you think happened to price?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And in fairness, I mean, Joey, you brought a good motion to government, which I remember the government at the time had planned not to support the motion. And I remember going to Minister Jay, and Jay is one of the most pragmatic, open-minded person and hardworking that you can find. And I said, Jay, do you understand that this motion is going to help you? You understand what this motion is about? And at the time, I didn't think it had dawned on them. I did just maybe think it was politics or whatever. It was a great motion. And Jay did not have enough time to say to his colleagues, wait a minute, guys, we're going to change our vote. Because, I mean, they deferred the housing vote to him as the minister. So he didn't have enough time to communicate it because I spoke to him like just before we took it, so there wasn't sufficient time. But have that information now, when the vote reaches Jay abstained. Because he could not vote against it.
Yeah.
Of course, his other colleagues already did not get the memo that the minister is now seeing it differently. They voted no. Then he abstained, and they're like, wait a minute, what has happened? And it's kind of really sad because the PPM chose to do a video to show the confusion in government, to take advantage of it, when in fact the focus should have been on, wait a minute, let's get the motion through. And that motion would have actually gone out, just as though we have the GGM program to help people with assisted mortgages. We could have then said to young Cayman and entrepreneurs, that listen, if you want to build a home or build a development or something, the government will give you the same guarantee. You go sit with our housing people at National Housing Trust, you show them what it is that you're looking to do, the quality of materials that you're looking, the price point, and if they're going to be building to the same specification as the National Housing Trust, have the same selling point, then give them the letter, let them go to the bank, and get the homes built. You know what I mean? Because you can't be sitting there expecting government to tie up tens of millions of dollars doing that kind of stuff when there is a housing shortage.
And the National Housing Trust just doesn't have the capacity to respond fully
it was
to
a great motion
the
again
demands.
that Joey brought. And I'm like, guys, that right there is a solution. Now, we looked at it before when we were in government. Couldn't get any traction. So I was happy to see that Joey brought it. Although someone on the government side think that I may well tell Joey, trust me, it was done independent of me. I had no discussions with Joey. I was just glad it was even brought. Matter of fact, I was a little bit ticked off that I should have even brought it myself. Not that I remembered it, but it just slipped my mind. But again, it was a great motion that would have helped with the housing.
I'm going to interrupt you there 1 second because this person sent this in, and since it ties in with what you're talking about, the leader of the opposition, this person says, can you ask MP Chris Saunders if he plans to join the PPM party alongside MP Kenneth Bryan before the election?
Well,
so I couldn't resist asking since they said it in. And
I can save anybody the thing. The short answer is no. I am not going to be a PPM member, and I think I can safely speak to Kenneth based on the last conversation he and I. We're not joining the PPM. But I will say this much. Of the other three groups out there, I have found the PPM to be the only one with a social conscience based on my own history and experience. You know what I mean? And if there was any group of the three that I would work with at this point, I would tell anybody hands down it would be the PPM. I mean, one group, I know where their mindset is in terms of what it is that they want, especially when it comes on to government assets, which I can't get behind at all. So, and having also experience of where I sat in a previous role as Minister of Finance and seeing the amount of money that was left back even from government education scholarships, because the first year that we did in 2021, if memory serves me right, there's some votes or some expenditures I don't like to see money left behind. And the first year, scholarships was underspent by $3.96 million. And that did not go down well with myself or many of my colleagues, because that is money to invest in, in terms of education. Returning that money back, and again, that was the end of the budget year too, so it's not like you could have carried into the next year. So that for me was an immediate red flag. And then understand that, some people have an issue with the free school lunches and everything else. When I can tell that many of my constituents have said to me point blank, it has been a big help for them, a big financial relief for them in terms of not being able to have to find lunch money and so forth. You know what I mean? So that is already a material difference for me for one particular group. And then the other group, well, I've experienced working with them, and I can tell you point blank, it was like tooth and nail to get things done. And one of the things I was really not happy with was the fuel assistance. When I was there as Minister of Finance, I took the paper to Cabinet to get the $7 million to give people the fuel relief during the summer months on their light bill. We knew that the rate was going up, the price of fuel and everything else. So we decided we'll freeze that 15 cents. We leave it at 15 cents and think about the 15 cents we paid, which actually cost us like around $7 million. But what people don't realize is this. Even though the gross cost or the bulk cost was $7 million, just by people saving that money, they were then able to go into the supermarket and elsewhere and spend it. So we actually got some of the money back from the customs duty by people spending that money. So even on paper it cost $7 million, the net cost of the country was really around $3 million, no more than $4 million, because we made back some of the money by keeping money in people's pockets and having that spread. And back in 2023, when I took the motion to create the Fuel Select Committee, matter of fact, we're having a meeting next week, I think, which will be one of the final committee meetings that Jay, and again, I can tell you, that is one hard-working minister. House is dissolved, and Jay still calling committee meetings, Bernie's still calling committee meetings, which I don't mind because I enjoy it. But the thing about it on the fuel, we knew, and I've said it in Parliament, that the Arab world decided they was riding with Biden, and the summer before the U.S. election, they were going to rinse off the price of electricity on people just to vote out any incumbent. In particular, they were targeting the Democrats. So when people are going to the polls and they remember that they got big old light bill, quarters of this government because of this policy or that policy or whatever, they're going to be upset, and rightfully so. And I was really hoping at that point where they would have at least offer some relief. You know what I mean? I went back, I remember when we was premiere, I remember asking the question point blank in Finance Committee, like at what point again do the race need to look at, need to get to for the government to step in to say, let us offer people relief. And then you're talking about doing the summer months too, when people have to be paying their house insurance because hurricane season is right around the corner. You can't skin up with that. You know what I mean? You're getting hit with a big bill. And then on top of that, your kids are out of school, so they're no longer getting the free lunches. So the pain in terms of Caymanian families during the summer months is the time when the government needed to step in the most and help. You know what I mean? So you need people that have a social conscience to say, wait a minute, we have not given people fixed mortgage rates. I mean, I have pushed as minister, and I'm glad to see Ms. Julie and them continue to expand Cineco into other areas to start getting more competitive to give people relief. But it's really about finding a way to give people relief. And that is one of the things that I like with the PPM. I mean, people can say what they want to say. I mean, listen, I've had policy disagreements with the PPM. We have differed. More anything material for me has been on immigration. You know what I mean? But outside of that, I can't in good conscience say to anybody that I pick up the phone and call Roy when he's Minister of Finance and say, Roy, I got this issue. He's in charge of Cineco. Then Roy's like, well, Chris, I can't help him. I've seen him going above and beyond. Same as with Alden, same as with, Joey and everybody else. They have that social conscience. And for that, it's a good start for me.
Great. We're going to go to commercial break. When we return, I know you want to talk about the pre-election forecasts and, where the government, the actual results and the difference as well. I think people will have an interest in that. Also, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit caymanairways.com/cargo.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite band-aids with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. Don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Hey, Bill. Glad to see you back in the office.
Who?
Bill.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think you're mistaking me for someone else.
Tom.
Nope.
Jack.
No.
Alex.
No. Want me to just tell you?
Nope, I got this, George.
No, you don't. Still not me.
Adam.
Not even close, man.
We're like a coworker that didn't forget your name. CG Britke. Good like that.
Okay, good to see you, Mike Johnson.
It's Mordecai.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Member of Parliament, former Deputy Premier, former Minister of Finance, Mr. Chris Saunders. And you see me with a lot of paper in front of me because Mr. Saunders, he's a man that he likes to produce the receipts, you know. Yeah.
Well, see, I can tell you, and I know that sometimes people, I mean, I've heard it where people say sometimes Chris can be very difficult, Chris can be very hard to deal with. One of the things that people need to recognize, or two things that people need to recognize, is this, that one, and Machiavelli said it best when he said, the most difficult challenge in the history of human affairs is to change the established order of things, because those who will be disadvantaged by the change are certain of their loss, while those who will benefit from the change are uncertain of their gain. Take the mortgage company, for example. The banks know how much they would lose if I get this mortgage company in. They know. But the people don't know how much they will save. So you find people don't directly get behind institutions very quickly. But I want people to ask themselves this question. If you have done very well, you're a multimillionaire, you're successful, it means that you have found a way for the current system to work for you. You have found a way to operate and do well in the system. Would you, on that conscience, want the system to change? So when people run around thinking that some of these multimillionaires that have done very well under the current system want to change the system that's making their life miserable, they're really thinking you are fools. They're taking you for fools. They do not want to change the system that have made them very rich. Don't for 1 minute be fooled. Now, OC, I'm not going to sit down and say to you that everybody in Cayman can be rich. What I can say to you is that nobody in Cayman needs to be poor. Nobody in Cayman needs to be struggling. We have a population that can fit in a stadium. And some of the unnecessary struggles and some of the unnecessary misery that people are getting in this country, it is unnecessary. And that stress is what it is that is killing a lot of people. Because stress has been a silent factor. You know what I mean? So it is from that standpoint people need to understand. Now, I brought those things for you for a reason. At 10 Downing Street, everyone knows who lives at 10 Downing Street in the UK. Do you know who lives at 11 Downing Street?
Chancellor.
Exactly. It means in our system of Westminster system, it was never envisioned that the Prime Minister or the Premier be the Minister of Finance. The system don't work like that. You need somebody, because when you're the party leader and you're the Premier, you need to keep the group together. You need to keep everybody together. And we had a good system sometimes where we see some members who come propose and stuff. And the then Premier and I would have the conversation and say, boy, listen, we can't afford this, but okay, don't worry, I will deal with it. You don't need to be the bad guy because you need to keep the group together. You can't control the purse. You know what I mean? Let the person who control the purse be the difficult one. Let the person who control the purse say no.
And we see it happen in the UK with Rachel Reeves now, you know.
You know what I mean? So you have that buffer zone. But the minute you as Premier decide to take the Minister of Finance and you don't control the purse, when you go and a minister comes and asks you for resources for something and you don't give it, you think you can then take off that cap and go be nice with them as Premier or whatever to find that kumbaya type moment? You are creating problems. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things we have seen it, where the minute you take on that Minister of Finance role, where you have to be that quote-unquote bad guy within the group, just look at people and say, listen, no, you're not getting the money. The country can't afford it, or let's look at something different. All of a sudden, well, it comes in, you know, Chris, that bad guy, Chris is difficult to work with. But the reason I brought that up, OC, is that you saw the pre-election forecast that was done on the 16th of March. And there's one that has to come out. Now, as per that forecast, when I arrived in the last government at the end of the election, the first thing I saw, which came out on the 16th of March, bear in mind, election was in April, the first thing I saw, a $98 million deficit. I'm like, wow. This is the forecast that is done At the time, you can see it was actually signed off by. These are the people that signed it off here, and I'll give you a copy of it.
Yes, I have.
By Ken Jefferson's financial secretary Matthew Tibbetts, and they're saying $98 million. Then, when we arrived, we found out that 35 million thereabouts of stipend was not included in the forecast, because we had about 7 more months of stipend that should have been like 5 million plus per month, and we were like, no, we got a bigger hole to crawl out of.
And that was a stipend for the COVID?
During the COVID time.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there like, okay, so there's 98 million plus another 35 million. I'm like, okay, guys, we need to get serious now. You know what I mean? There's no way we can afford to lose this kind of money. And then the following year, we're supposed to lose $60 million. So you're talking about $158 million over a 2-year period. And I'm like, this is not happening on my watch. I'm sorry. So we got in and we said, you know what, guys? Any non-discretionary spend, so anything above light bills or government contractual agreement like salaries and all kind of stuff, anything above $5,000 the minister need to sign off. Anything above $5,000. And the reason why we wanted that is that A, as a young government coming in, it forced the ministers them to see everything that's going on in their ministries. So that's one way where people can say, well, wait a minute, what we're paying for this for? What we're paying for that for? You know what I mean? So they had that chance to push back. But it also was a given chance also to learn and understand the day-to-day operations of what it is. Because when you look at finance committee, the money is actually voted to the minister. It is not to the ministry, to the minister. He's the one who has to go to parliament and give an account for that money. So by law, that's the minister's responsibility. I'm like, guys, we agreed to $5,000, we send the directive out. First year where we should have lost $98 million, well, 133 if you count in the stipend that was left. But we leave the 98 million as per the forecast. We only end up losing 18 million. So we beat the forecast in the first year by $80 million. Now, did I achieve that by being overly nice? The short answer is no. Because again, like I said, nice don't get some stuff done. Some people, the culture of what they like to spend, you just have to have those conversations with them that people don't like to have. But it needed to be have. The second year where we should have lost $60 million, we actually made $53 million profit. So that again is $113 million turnaround. So the first year we beat the forecast by $80 million. The second year we beat the forecast by $113 million. So in those 2 years, when we came in and inherited the government, we should have what we should have lost and what we end up doing, we end up beating the forecast by $193 million. And that for me, the first thing that you always need in any country is to make sure that we have the financial freedom to take care of our people. Because you had the experience of what it is like when we breached FFR and the UK had to step in and you had to go and get their budget to them to approve your budget before you can spend 1 cent to help a person. I was not prepared to go in. And if you look again, OC, even on the same company statistics, if you look at government spend, the only year in which government spend started to decrease literally year from the previous year was actually in 2021, we went from 979 million down to 2022, which was 968 million. And 2023 was supposed to carry down to 950 million. That was the target. So that's the expenditure line.
Okay.
First one up here. Yeah. So you can directly see. So we started the downward trend because what we wanted to get back to now was hitting back those $100 million surplus. So by 2023, we're supposed to spend 950 million. We ended up doing $1.024 billion. Because I was like, there's no way we're touching that $1 billion mark. You know what I mean? And then by 2020, the next one was supposed to get down to $899 just to get out of the $900 million club. But it directly means going in and really scrutinizing. And one of the things that we wanted to focus on, OC, back then, was the money that we spent overseas, especially like on overseas consultants and so forth. And the reason being is that people need to recognize that when the government spends money in the economy, businesses would have gone out and hired people to take that kind of business. You know, people, if they're assisting people have gotten used to government spend. So you just couldn't come in and just start cutting domestic spend. And that's why even sometimes when people complain about what the government is spending money on, I'm like, guys, let us first look and see if it is domestic spend. Because if it's domestic spend, that's money that's going into the economy. And it has other benefits that people, I mean, look at the clock.
Yep.
Okay.
We're going to pause there, folks. Top of the hour, headline news. When we return, the conversation with MP Christopher Saunders will continue. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. And to remind you that at some point we will open up the phone lines as well. So please be patient with us.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
In your headlines, Cabinet has greenlit the issuance of drafting instructions to amend the Insurance Act as well as the health practice regulations. According to the most recently released meeting summary, Cabinet also approved the waiver of grant fees for a right to be Caymanian by way of descent before giving a thumbs up for the, quote, draft government motion recommending a constitutional amendment to guarantee that Northside and East End each has a dedicated member of parliament. In international headlines, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a Russian drone attack hit a radiation shelter protecting Chernobyl's damaged nuclear reactor overnight. A UN nuclear watchdog says as of this morning, radiation levels inside and outside Chernobyl remain normal and stable. Russia has denied any claims that it attacked the site, saying that its military does not strike Ukrainian nuclear infrastructure and, quote, any claims that this was the case do not correspond to reality. The High Court in Belize has given parties until the close of business today to hand in written submissions as development consultant Jeremy Enrique seeks an urgent injunction to halt a March 12th general election. Former Trinidad and Tobago Attorney General Anand Ramlogan filed the injunction, urging the court to stop the election until a redistricting exercise is conducted. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning MP Mr. Christopher Saunders. So I think off the air, I asked him if he could give us some concrete examples of, you know, some of the changes that were made to sort of like pull back on government spending and to achieve reduce the amount of overspend that was taking place, and the deficit that the Cayman Islands would have ended up in.
The best example, I can't repeat on here because I don't have a parliamentary immunity, so I use that one. But one of the things, OC, was pretty much the overall COVID costs. Because if you look in 2019, the total government spend was $731 million in terms of expenses. And then for that to move to $979 million in 2021, that itself was a big jump. Mm-hmm. Because COVID alone, compared to the previous year, was like over $100 million hit per year. So the main thing now was to basically zoom in on COVID. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we looked at that we wanted more than anything was to deal with the stipend. And that is where a lot of the issues came from, which will allow me to segue into my next area that I want to touch on, is when we came in, there were a lot of people that was, again, out of work because of COVID and everything else. And I remember sitting there saying, guys, at that time, the stipend was under the Ministry of Tourism. You know what I mean? And I said to Kenneth, well, Kenneth could have managed at the time because there was literally no tourists. So, Kenneth had time for that and everything else. Of course, as tourism started to grow back, I went to Kenneth, I said, Kenneth, listen, you need to get back tourism open. You need to be focusing on that. You can't be doing a stipend. I will take the stipend. He says to me, big brother, you sure? He says, yeah, because we need to find a way now to end the stipend.
Wean people off, yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we need to gradually get people off because, and that's where was one of my key motivation at first in terms of taking a very stand on work permits. Because I'm like, guys, I can't afford to give away the jobs. Then we end the stipend, people have no jobs. So I remember when this headline came out, 10,600 work permits deferred over the last 10 months. Well, see, that night in caucus, it was murderation. I've said this publicly, so it's no secret. When I say murderation, everyone came for the pound of flesh. Because every business person was calling up, every MP, I can't get this permit, I can't get that permit, and everything else. And what I want to say is no secret. The only 2 members that night in caucus that were present, that stood by me, never forget this, love them to death, was Kenneth Bryan and Bernie Bush. The only 2. I was so ticked off that night, I decided to just come off the caucus chat. I left the caucus chat. Just went on WhatsApp, I can show you the thing. Chris left the group. Chris left. That was the first night I went home. And I remember saying to Shawnette, I don't think I'm going to survive with this government. We agreed just months before that when we were doing a strategic policy statement that we were going to take our line position on immigration. It is even included in our strategic policy statement where we said we will name and shame companies that basically abuse the Caymanians in the labor process in terms of employment and everything else. That was how serious we were. That we committed to that inside. If you go back to the planning estimates, I have a copy of it here somewhere that shows that we plan on naming and shaming these companies for the labor practices that they have that are unfair to Caymanians. And I saw it as a good thing. We have over 3,000 Caymanians that were not working. I could not understand anyone having a problem with us taking an hardline position. And I really want to take this point to personally thank you, because you were on the business staff and plan board with Richard Barton at that time, for the work that you guys did and for basically withstanding the pressures that came from putting your foot down to say, guys, we're giving Caymanians opportunities. I remember one meeting I had with one large employer, or when senior manager of one large organization. And I said to him, listen, this is the policy, 1 for 1. If you want one manager, I want one Caymanian manager. You want one chef, I want one Caymanian chef. You're not getting a permit. I tell him point blank, I say, guys, I can make it plain to you in language you can understand. I'm a politician. I work for voters. And if voters can't get opportunities and voters can't get jobs, people who can't vote are not getting it. So I don't know how much clearer than that I could be. Now, people may not like that kind of tone of having with some employers, but I'm saying to my Caymanian people, these kind of tones are necessary when you're dealing with people who don't mean you any good. They need to understand that not everybody is docile and a rollover or a pushover. You know what I mean? So I was really dejected that night, and I said, this is the first time I realized that this was not going to last, because if there's one thing, OC, I would tell anybody that is non-negotiable for me in any government, if I am lucky to be re-elected and being asked to join a government, is bringing back the Cayman Protection Board.
I wouldn't use that word luck. I would say fortunate.
Fortunate,
luck doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah.
It's about bringing back the Cayman Protection Board. Because unless we take the hard line, and OC, the thing I brag about the most was when the numbers came out. And I think I gave them over here. When you look at the unemployment numbers, the 1 year that we had the biggest drop in Cayman unemployment was in 2022. So if you look at it, for example, and again, we had the economics and statistics stuff. If you look, starting from 2016, the amount of Caymanians employed increased by 159 between 2016 and 2015. By 2017, it increased by 734 over the previous year. 2018, it was 1,492. Then in 2019, it went down 683. 2020, it went down 578. In 2021, was up 4 Caymanians over the previous year. Then look at the jump in 2022. 1,601 Caymanians basically became employed. But look at the unemployment number. We went from an number of unemployed Caymanians from 1,803 in 2021 to 796 in 2022. We literally took 1,007 Caymanians, unemployed Caymanians, put them to work. And that came from saying to employers, you are not getting this work permit. And that was the trend that we were on. And then look at what happened after I left. The number basically went back, started going back the other way. It requires people to sit down with these people and say, listen, you're not getting this. I know so-and-so that can actually do a job. Go and get go and find them. Caymanians are looking work. Go and find them. You're not getting a permit. And I remember saying to the boards that, listen, if you see where you have to approve it and you can't stop it, defer it. Now, people may say, legal, I'm not supposed to have said that as a minister, but as government policy, is that we want our people to have opportunities. And that's what the boards are there for, to protect and look out for Caymanians, to make sure that they have an opportunity. You know what I mean? So,
and just to say also that people have to remember now, whether or not it was put in writing or otherwise, but Cabinet does have the ability under the law to issue directives to the various boards. Other than the regulations and the law that is there, you do have the ability to issue directives.
Oh, see, let me tell you the best part. I'm smiling. One of the things I used to say to ministers at the time, why do you keep bringing this cabinet paper back to cabinet? He's like, wait a minute. I said, we already agreed to do this. So one of the things, OC, and again, this is why experience does matter. When we were putting together the strategic policy statement, I put a lot of time and effort into that. I remember being in the office at 4 o'clock in the morning on my wedding anniversary, finalizing a strategic policy statement to make sure that when we met down, we were at the Kimpton when we went through the whole exercise of our 10 broad outcomes and what we wanted to focus on. I made sure in that room, and for other members like Kenneth and those who and Ms. Julia and so forth, were veterans in the process who understands the government. And this is why experience does matter. We made sure that the government policies, as we were setting out the strategic policy statement, we made sure we argued, we push, we fight to get what it is that we campaign on in that strategic policy statement. So that strategic policy statement, as you know, would have gone through a cabinet approval process. Well, I mean, we agreed in caucus first. It goes through a cabinet approval process, then it goes through a parliamentary approval process. So, in essence, the government policy have just already been approved by both cabinet and parliament. I then did not need to go back and ask for approval on a policy that we already agreed to do, that went through cabinet and went through parliament. So when people say, but Chris, we didn't discuss that, I'm like, yeah, we did. Go back down to the Kimpton. We agreed to do this. So I didn't have to waste any time going back through this learning curve. I made sure, and like I said, I learned from watching Alden and them with that. Because, again, being a first-time politician and going through the process and seeing what it's about, you get a chance. So for me, it was very easy when people say, but Chris, why are you doing this? I'm like, because we said we were going to do it. It's there. And I could always pull back up the SPS, that's parliamentary and cabinet approval, to say this is the policy. So it wasn't that Chris was doing something different. It's that you guys forgot what we said we were going to do. And I made sure all of the objectives that relate to me, I put them out on my own spreadsheet that I was tracking. So expansion is cynical, all that kind of stuff that related to me, I was checking off all of my boxes. I was just going through checking off all of my boxes from that standpoint. So for me, it's from that standpoint where you sit down and you need to have those conversations with corporate Cayman. I spend a lot of time in corporate Cayman at a very senior level. So I understand how they work, I understand how they think. And I also understand the language that they listen to and understand the tone of voice that they listen to. And if you think, and let me show you something. One of the biggest scams that we have ever perpetrated on the Caymanian people is this. And I'm going to show you something. Here's a person sitting at his kitchen counter in some faraway land. And they're picking in the country, I don't want next thing here, I'm picking in the nationality. And the wife or the spouse will say to them, honey, you anything yet about that job in the Cayman? I say, yeah. Actually, I got an email They said, mate, things are looking good. So I'm going to go in. Give me about 2 months, then I'll send for you and the kids. So then you can come join me. And then after about 2 years, when I get there, first thing I'm going to do is find a Caymanian to train them so they can replace me after 2 years, and I can uproot all of you back so we can return home.
Yeah.
See, that conversation don't happen. Nobody leaves their country, uproot their family to come Cayman, to train another Caymanian to take their job so they can uproot their family to return home.
Okay. With that, we're going to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
Attention Cayman! Transform your kitchen for less with Granite Express, Cayman's big clearance sale. Until February 28th, get huge discounts on granite and quartz kitchen countertops. Plus, refresh your space with our cabinet respray services for as low as $3,950. If you only want a countertop, prices start at $2,150. Don't miss this limited time offer. Visit Granite Express Cayman today or call 922-0424 for a free estimate. That's 922-0424. Granite Express. Quality stone. Unbeatable prices.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Funky Tang's Valentine's Sale is on now. Head over to Funky Tang's, 2 locations, Shedden Road and Countryside, Savannah, and take 10% off on Lasco Tower fans, Queen and King sheet sets, 32-inch Pioneer TVs, Puya tablets, blenders and hair clippers, blackout curtains and shower curtains. And while you're there, take 20% off those TC60 Bluetooth earbuds. For more info, call 949-0998. That's 949-0998. Funky Tanks, the home of electronics and more.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me MP Chris Saunders. And just for those of you who may not know the unwritten history of immigration in the Cayman Islands, early stages of it, when we had we had the work permit board, we had didn't have a business staffing plan board at that point in time, had a trade in business licensing board as well. So you heard MP Chris Saunders talk about him, sitting down with the heads of certain industries or businesses in the Cayman Islands, speaking on immigration matters. Well, there was a work permit board that was comprised of specific members who at that point in time were advocating and we had only a few law firms in the Cayman Islands at that point in time, and they were advocating for partnerships to be offered to Caymanians within the law firm because it just wasn't happening. I guess fortunately for those that they were advocating for, those members of the board were quite influential, not just being on the board, but in business or otherwise. And they basically, for those people who may be surprised at, what you said in terms of what you did, they went to that particular law firm and told them, you're not getting any more work permits if you don't start to give partnerships to Caymanians. And they did it. And of course, like some international politicians these days, they refuse to admit defeat. So what do they call it? They say, okay, we give the partnerships because that is the cost of doing business in the Cayman Islands. I'm not calling any names, but those persons who are familiar with it will know the particular law firm.
Well, see, I have families in my constituents that have taken out loan against their property, taken out loans against their houses, their homes, to send their kids to school, to give them opportunities that they themselves didn't have. I'm a product of that environment where my parents during their working time did not get an opportunity for a college degree. My father was able to finish high school. My mother, not so lucky.
I must say he was a good football player too.
Yeah.
The man could dribble.
And cricket too. And cricket. Now he was one of those things. And it is heart-wrenching when a parent called me up that their child is fighting depression, haven't come home, and can't find a job. They sit down and they complain about the education system and use that as an excuse to say, we're not Iron Caymanians. But yet, when they come back from universities in North America and Europe, they with degrees from their home country, they still can't get an opportunity. Do not tell me it's the education system, because even when they're educated in your country, you're not given an opportunity. It is outright, downright discrimination. And when people say to me, Chris, people out there saying that you disrespect civil servants and you disrespect these people, why have you never said anything about it? I said because there's actually a fat chance that some people may have taken what I said or taken what I said to be disrespectful by having a conversation with them. And one of the things that used to bother me the most, OC, and I'm going to say this, is you meet with the companies that, listen, you're not getting this. Then you pick up the phone, you call the, at the time I used to call the chairman of whichever board it was, and say, listen, look out for this one rolling through. Make sure on the deal with it, put it in your calendar. As a matter of fact, make sure the administrators themselves don't even process it. You go and make sure, because most people don't realize, that almost about 70 or 80% of work permits aren't even processed by the board.
Right.
It's administrators. So I said, you as the chairman, go inside there and tell them what it is you want, which companies you want coming before the board, and which companies that we're comfortable you as administrators dealing with. And what used to be annoying for me is when you have these conversations with the companies, well, this is the first time anyone is telling them what time of day it is. They then run to a senior civil servant, and they're like, oh, well, this and that, okay, we'll go deal with it. Because people don't realize how much powers those civil servants and administrators have. And that's why I used to say to the chairman, make sure you tell them that this company specifically comes to the board so you all can deal with it. Some other companies we're fine with. But that one, you make sure you deal with it. You make sure you go to who you need to go to, and it comes before you. So I make no apologies, OC, for taking a very firm position with those companies, because some of them, there's only one language that they do understand, is when you're going to be firm with them. No, I could tell them about it. I don't use any bad words, I don't use any coarse words, but I just clearly tell them what the policy is and where we're going with this. So we're fine. And as you can see, the lowest unemployment, or number of unemployed Caymanians, and one of the lowest unemployment rate was in 2022. So we can directly see where, summarize on the spreadsheet there for you.
Yep.
You know, you can directly see where that approach bore fruit. You know what I mean? And bearing in mind, we're still in a COVID environment, and businesses needed to survive too.
In 2022 it was 796. 90,
yeah, it went from 1,803 to 796.
Yeah.
So dropped by over 1,000. Nowhere else other than between 2017 and 2018, you had that kind of drop. Nowhere else there was a drop. You know what I mean? And we went massively on that campaign. Because I remember when I used to go to the immigration boards and so forth, and they'd bring up the issue about getting sued. No, I would go there as the Minister of Labor. You know what I mean? We're immigration. And they're like, well, some of these law firms will sue you. I would say, guys, here's the good news. I'm good, very, very good, very good friends with the Minister of Finance. I guarantee you, he will find you the money to defend whatever they come with. So don't worry, I'll speak to the Minister of Finance, and they'll always make a joke out of it. You know what I mean? But I guarantee the Minister of Finance will give you the money to defend. We saw it on the Stardust board. I mean, you saw the numbers. In 2021, we did 590 Stardusts, thereabouts. In 2022, we did 523. So it went down. Again, it started good. By 2023, we added on to 266 in terms of Stardusts that year, which is one of the lowest in like about 13 or 14 years. And then last year, I saw in the press, we did 1,547 or something like that. So it went from 266 to 1,547. And again, we took that same hardline position, and we're saying special margins of convenience. And let me tell you something. I want to say this publicly, because I'm not sure if I did before, but I want us to record it. I am eternally grateful to Dr. Steve for chairing the Stardust board. He had a good board. I mean, we had Charlie Watler, God bless him, blessed memory. I mean, you had Joanne Barnes, you had Rosalind McLaughlin, you had Denise Webster. You know what I mean? That I can directly think of, I mean, in terms of being on that board, that I can remember being offhand. And I remember I used to say to people, if they can convince this board that they should get Stardust, they deserve it. And because when we came in first, it was a backlog that you had to deal with. That you really couldn't, you know what I mean? Those were like, I know, been there for a long time and so forth. But once Steve got in his stride, I mean, and I remember those guys coming to me to complain that, you know, Minister, Steve is interviewing those married people, you know. He's bringing them in to interview them. And I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. And of course, Steve, keep doing how you do it. Okay, don't worry. I'll go on, because it's taking out the process longer. I mean, you don't try to think. I'm like, the man is doing his job. I said, why should we be sitting back here and fast-tracking statuses as if though it's in a fast food restaurant or something? This is our birthright. You know, so I really love the fact that Steve was taking that approach. And like I said, when you look at the 266 that we did, it was like the lowest that we did in like the last another spreadsheet here somewhere.
Yeah, you sure
I don't need to guess it.
Okay, we'll take the commercial break now, and you can find it, folks. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Easter vacation is just around the corner, and Cayman Airways has added multiple extra flights to some of your favorite destinations, some of mine too. Look here, they got seats available now for booking on extra Easter flights between Grand Cayman and Kingston, La Ceiba, Miami, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and you can even catch a non-stop flight to Montego Bay for Easter. Check it out. You can visit CaymanAirways.com, contact a local travel agent, or call Cayman Airways Reservations on 949-2311. And don't wait too long though, because these extra Easter seats always sell fast. Be sure to add your Sir Turtle Rewards number to your booking so you can earn more miles for more free trips this year. But I know where I'm going. I'll see you on board a uniquely Caymanian airline for Easter.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
My mom's a superhero. She always knows what to do when I feel icky. Yesterday, we went to West Bay Pharmacy, and they had everything she needed. Medicine, my favorite Band-Aid with dinosaurs, and even flavored vitamins. Mom says they keep our family healthy. I think they're magic. Don't tell anyone. I think superhero shop at West Bay Pharmacy. West Bay Pharmacy, where the superheroes shop. West Bay Pharmacy and Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
You're invited to tune in to Breeze Radio on Friday, Valentine's Day, for a special Yesteryear Musicals Valentine's Day presentation. At 7 p.m., you'll like it. It's all about love and song. 7 p.m., Friday, on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Valentine's Day, make it special.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, a member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Saunders. This person sent this in from quite a while ago, so I'm going to read this now. This person says, please ask Chris what are the plans to cut the cost of living, for example, gas prices, electricity, and food costs, of course, many more. Then they go on. They've sent another one since then and says, I'm a Chris fan, but now he's in the past tense. He must be prepared to cut the spending in order to give cost relief to people on this island. It's called The Door is Closed, I guess, talking about immigration.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I will come to that, but I just want to close off this thing on the status. If you look in 2009, OC was 197, 2010, 258, 2011 did 422, 2012, 576, 2013, 607, 2014, 677, 2015, 635, 2016, 699, 2017, 635, 2018, 791, 2019, 641, 2020, 416, 2021, 590. Then we started the trend down, 2022, 523. By 2023, 266. And then 2024 is actually 1,567, or 1,547 was the final. That number was up till October when I'd gotten the stuff from the ministry at the time. But it's about getting that trend coming down from that standpoint in terms of, and when you look at the ones for grounds of naturalization, I mean, as you can directly see, that's the one with a lot of the PR holders and so forth.
Yes.
And as you can see, I mean, that one up to 2022 was 270. By 2023 was down to 64, which was the lowest since 2009. And then, of course, you see 2024 was 730 up till October 2024. And I don't understand it. They were doing about 105 per month. So it probably would have finished about 2024 at about 900 or so. I mean, at that rate. You know what I mean? But the main thing we wanted to get at, OC, was making sure that our people have opportunities. You know what I mean? But going to the person who called in that stuff, on the food side of it, we can start with that. One of the things that we wanted to get in was the government discount store. Now, I will say to people, and I've learned this one in a roundabout way. I haven't spoken to one local importer when we came in, especially during COVID, where was an issue. When we spoke about the government discount store, they said that, Chris, we are willing to operate the government discount store. And here's the reason why. And in fairness, like, this is a good person, a person got a lot of time for it. I won't call their name. But one of the things with the suppliers that's key to them is being able to get a steady supply of the same goods. So if you use a certain brand, you need to make sure you get the brand. And what they said to me was, Chris, those relationships is what saved us during COVID. When there were shortages in the US and elsewhere where people couldn't get it, their suppliers were like, listen, you've been with us now for how long? We're making sure that you can get the same thing that you can get. So I wasn't thinking about it from that angle. You know what I mean? And he says, listen, there are cheaper brands that we can bring in. The problem is you can get it 1 month, you may not get it the next month. So the supply isn't steady. But if you guys are willing to earn, the public will be understanding that, listen, I can bring something in, it may cost you 40, 50 cents this month, but it may not be available next month. And we were fine with that. And in fairness, Minister Jay, once again, was gung-ho in terms of getting the government discount store done. We had the meetings. We were supposed to looking at setting up one in agriculture and one in town, and we were looking for a location in West Bay. But that is something that is his baby. But I can tell you we were making considerable progress with it. And part of it then was actually to go and start getting the foods and different supplies straight from South America and Central America. Because right now the ships are passing Cayman, going to North America, and then we're going to buy the stuff. We lose shelf life, we lose a lot. I mean, in terms of expiration date, become much quicker when you're buying it from North America and everything else. So the minister, to his credit, that was where, and people were, some of the people I know were critical of the trips he was making. It was about developing that, especially for food security. And no more than anything, it is something that is needed. So there's an issue with food that needs to be dealt with. One of the things I also want to mention too is the state of Washington actually went out and sued the meat producers in the U.S. I mean, like Tyson Foods and all of that kind of stuff there. And what they found out was that during the 2008 financial crisis, plus the recent COVID issue, the protein market was being dominated. So the chicken companies are going out and buying pork and buying at the beef companies and all that kind of stuff. So they're literally the same company. So everybody needs protein. And what they found out was that these guys were actually fixing prices. Now, when I remember came across that, I reached out to ESO and Adolphus, and let me tell you something. We have a pile of information. They sent me the spreadsheet that gave me all historical prices, like for beef, the chicken, the pork, and everything else. Because I'm like, if these guys sue these guys, not that Cayman merchants had a choice because they have to be buying it from the U.S., but it goes to show, and then we wanted to make the case where we wanted to cut out the North American market to make the case for going straight to Central and South America. But people also need to change their mindset that unless it comes from the U.S., it is no good. When in fact, it's coming from Central and South America, and these guys are just rebranding it to charge more money. So we also had to kind of get that mindset out from people in terms of getting stuff from Honduras isn't bad. Getting stuff from Panama isn't bad. Getting stuff from Costa Rica isn't bad. It doesn't have to have made in the USA on it for you to think otherwise, when in fact they're buying it from elsewhere. So that is what we wanted to get on the food situation in terms of trying to get the cost of food down. And like I said, the merchants, to their credit, well, one of them in particular, was willing to work with the government to set up the government discount store with us having a caveat that, listen, I can get there some cheap goods, but it may not be there every single month. So bear that in mind, because for them, they're also in the same thing too. Like, they're going to lose business, they prefer lose business to themselves. So at least, and they could have controlled the inventory levels, and we were fine with that. But I'll leave Jay to tell a story as to why he was unsuccessful and who in the government at the time wasn't too keen on it. I'll leave him to tell the story. This is the thing there. Going back now to the issue of electricity. One thing, as I mentioned before, is that you look at the UK. Again, not an original idea, but they get this from reading and researching and see what other people are doing, is to have a steady flat light bill every single month. You know what I mean? And then you have 1 month of rebalancing. The issue that we have, and it comes back to, is the price of oil. And also, I got to come off a little bit, and this is when I realized the Democrats in the States are really crazy. The US is known as the petrodollar because it's the only currency that you can buy oil in. And when you go out of your way to basically destroy the very thing that is keeping your dollar up, that's when you realize that sometimes the lights on but nobody home. I say that to say this. Respectfully to all environmentalists and everybody out there, the top 5 oil-producing countries is sitting on more than 1 trillion barrels of oil and counting, because they still haven't finished counting Guyana. I say that to say this.
And Suriname coming along as well.
Yeah, I say that to say this. In our lifetime, Oil isn't going anywhere. They would give that thing away before they make it spoil. You know what I mean? For these guys, I mean, there was a time where before the you look at when fracking became popular in the States. What did these guys turn around and do? Just start lowering the price of oil so that the investment in fracking got burnt. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is this. What we need to do is go out and put some long-term contracts in buying the sulfur 2 diesel, you know what I mean, from these companies that CUC burns, because CUC, to their credit, is a very efficiently run company. I can't take that from CUC. CUC's biggest crime is sending out the ransom bill. That fuel factor is really where the problem is, and it comes to the price of oil. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not advocating doing a refinery or nothing like that, but I'm more advocating in terms of going out, you're going into the futures market, and you start looking at getting bulk fuel at really discount price. You know what I mean? And hopefully, once you get into something long-term and somewhat, as opposed to this month to month to month. And I'm really looking forward to the having a fuel committee, even though probably the last one, we'll have the fuel select committee that we had set up for the motion I brought. We started looking through at the prices, because we started getting some of the prices. Now, these are information that unfortunately I don't think can be made public from what we were told. But we get to see the originating costs. And now we get to see what the pump cost is. And I can tell you, OC.
Huge difference, huh?
Big difference. Big difference. And I remember in Public Accounts Committee when we brought the fuel companies in. And we remember one of them, was public saying anything, Rubis. We remember asking them about, you know, explaining the fuel price and everything, give us a breakdown. There were $2 a gallon that could not be explained. And I remember, clear as day, the person who was representing Rubis at the time, the manager, whoever, said, well, Cayman's a high-cost jurisdiction. I'm like, yeah, because you're making it a high-cost jurisdiction. And for me, coming from banking, I remember I used to say to people, we had to write $10 million in loans a year just to pay our light bill. We had to write an additional $25 million just to pay our SEMA bill. So that's $35 million off the bat for light bill and SEMA. Now, you got 6 banks doing that. That's $210 million. But the gross amount of lending was only $180 million per year. So your fixed cost requires $210 million worth of loans just to pay at the time when we were doing our analysis. But the market was only doing $180 million a year in loans. So you're already $30 million short. And then you're wondering why the bank charge you all these other fees. You know what I mean? For your checking, especially the foreign exchange, which is going to be a different topic because I got a problem with that 4-cent spread. But I'll deal with that separately. So on that issue, fuel is the other issue that we want to deal with. And then the last one I want, because if you look at the energy costs and the housing costs, that is 49% of the CPI. I think housing is like 33% and transportation / energy is like 6%. Consumer price index. Thanks for that. It's 49%. So that's why we basically went for those 2 big items that we wanted to control. And that's one of the reasons why more than anything I wanted that mortgage company, especially on the reverse mortgage side to help a lot of families as they get into retirement age. Because what's the use of having your house as an asset if you're in a jam, you can't get anything from it. And again, I'm not advocating reverse mortgages. I'm not advocating anything. I'm just saying that if you need it, it's there. If you're in an emergency, you know it's there. You have something that you can quickly get money from. That's all I'm basically advocating, is having help for people when we need it. So if we can get this mortgage rate, which in essence will also affect your rental market, at a flat rate. And I think at this point, I mean, now things are a little bit off, but when we had an opportunity to do it, we lost an opportunity. And again, that was because of politics. But if we can go out and even float our own bond, because no banks is giving anybody 5 or 6% anyway, and say, you know what, we will float a bond. We'll do that, say 5.5%, you know what I mean? And well, at 5%, and then we charge people at 5.5%. So you get a little spread to cover the cost of actually carrying the loan. But at least people know that their mortgage payment is fixed. And the landlord can't come and tell that his mortgage gone up, so he need to charge you more.
And that
and you have some level of certainty.
That bond would be offered locally?
Yeah. That's what we wanted to do. Listen, when interest rates were at their lowest at 3.25%, I wanted to go and borrow like $400 million. And as you can see from the spreadsheet, the one I gave you that showed the different scenarios of using $500 million would have put us at less than 33%, and the maximum allowance is 8. It's the sheet here. You know what I mean? Where with the mortgage company.
Got it. Yep.
You know what I mean? So people at least will have some level of certainty, and that is ultimately what it is that we want, is to get certainty. So if we can bring down the cost of borrowing, which will affect housing, bring down the cost of fuel, and work on food, we are halfway there. And like I said, efforts were made to get it done, but again, the special interest groups, by the time they turn on their machinery and they lobby machinery, people become skittish.
Yeah. Okay, folks, we're going to take our last commercial break. Hopefully, we'll be able to squeeze in a call or two as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Step back in time and discover the rich history of the Cayman Islands at the National Museum. Located on the waterfront in Georgetown, the National Museum is proudly housed in the Old Courts building, Cayman's oldest standing public building. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture. Open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And here's the best part, Saturdays are free for residents. Don't forget to visit our museum gift shop. Every purchase helps preserve our artifacts and the historic building we call home. Visit www.museum.ky for more information.
Funky Tang's Valentine's Sale is on now. Head over to Funky Tang's 2 locations, Shedden Road and Countryside, Savannah, and take 10% off on Lasco Tower fans, Queen and King sheet sets, 32-inch Pioneer TVs, Puya tablets, blenders and hair clippers, blackout curtains and shower curtains. And while you're there, take 20% off those TC60 Bluetooth earbuds. For more info, call 949-0998. That's 949-0998. Funky Tangs, the home of electronics and more.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have 2 callers. We're going to take those 2 callers. We're going to ask each caller to please be as brief as possible. Before we go there, though, this person has written and said, can you please ask Mr. Chris whether Miss Julie has continued his financial format? And then they go on to ask what happened to putting a freeze on temporary work permits, which I thought was a good idea. And look at where we are now with the increase in PR and status grants. This current government has not stemmed that. Also, look at how the current premier backtracked on her announcement to the increase in the stamp duty for the higher cost properties. It seems that no matter who is in government, that the power of the big developers, the chamber, and the real estate groups influence more change. Let's grab our 2 callers. Please be as brief as possible. We have less than 10 minutes to go in the show. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris. Morning, Mr. Connor.
Oh, morning, bro. You're good?
I'm pretty good, man. I can touch very, very briefly on the fuel and the cost of fuel, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening very, very closely on that. One, I think that the people of the Cayman Islands need to be reminded that 70% of all refined product that is sold in the Gulf of Gulf of America now.
Why does fight words with some people, bro?
I just want to be correct in what I'm saying. In the Gulf of America, 70% of that refined product comes from the Middle East. There are 9 compensation packages that have to be met before it even gets to the Gulf of America. And then it gets on a boat, it goes to the Bahamas, it's stored in their facilities, then it comes on the Caribbean loop. So that's one of the driving factors of the cost. Secondly, we need to also pay attention that, you mentioned, Chris, that CUC provides an efficient services, and they do absolutely, but we also need to be reminded that we pay top dollar for that service. So we would expect nothing less. Now, one of the things that we need to do, we need to have a strong regulation in place for fuel providers on this island. Why? Because there's a fuel factor in everything that we consume because we import everything. So if we're going to tackle the cost of living, from a meaningful standpoint, that's where we start. And I think that it's long gone, and, with the fuel that is being burnt at the utility company is 100% pass-through cost to the consumer. So government needs to play a more intricate role in how that fuel is being purchased, where it's being purchased from, and why it's being charged. Now, and I'll end here, the $2 that you said were missing that Rubis said they couldn't give an account for, or whichever company it was.
Yep.
Go remember now, Chris. The utility company is the biggest consumer of fuel on this island. They burn more than 40 million gallons per year. They burn more than 40 million gallons per year. Now, you know what $2 a gallon is? That's $80 million. All right? So just imagine the people who are comfortable with the acquisition of purchasing fuel are the reason why we see this problem. But anyway, good conversation. I'll let the other caller come on.
Actually, don't move yet, bro. I just want to say to you, first of all. I want to thank you publicly because you're one person who's up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, just like myself, doing research because we'll be sending messages back and forth. But one of the things that Mario touched on, that we did this exercise separately, was in CUC's annual report. We went through and they showed us what the average cost of the fuel factor was per gallon, including the annual report. We then turned around and actually went and looked at the retail price of diesel in South Florida. And granted that we have U.S. gallon versus imperial gallons, like 1.2 difference or whatever. When we look at what CUC was actually paying to spend that $40 million and comparing that to retail rates in South Florida, CUC's average cost was higher than what people are paying at the pump in the United States. Bear in mind, I think they charge like 18.5 cents for federal gasoline tax on that too. So when you see a bulk price for CUC being more than the retail price for diesel in the U.S., that is scary.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yep. Thank you very much, caller. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Please be brief.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
I don't have a lot of time, but good morning, Mr. For the Record. Good morning, MP Chris.
Morning, my brother.
You are the MP for my constituency.
Yes, sir.
My area. You were talking, I don't have much time, but I would like to discuss this further publicly and not privately, publicly, because you were talking about Parliament and so forth. One of the things that we do is that we do things half-aid. You know what I mean? And we make 3 steps back forward and 2 steps backwards, right back to the same place where we begin. The problem that we have is that we need radical reforms in our whole system of governance, and especially our constitution and our parliament. You're talking about not able to get things done in parliament because you don't have people there to do drafting and so forth. The problem that we have in this country is that the people that have the knowledge, they don't look for them. They don't project them. We hide them and we pretend that they don't exist. for instance, in 1991, 1992, when the British government sent out the fact finders here, when they were thinking about giving us a new modern constitution, myself, Orrett Marion, and Mrs. Thompson, and we decided, you know something? We're not going to go to the review committee with words. We are going to draft a new constitution for the Cayman Islands. That's what we did. We drafted a new constitution. A lot of the stuff that we drafted in that new constitution, in that draft, were accepted by Wallace and Smith. And so you have people here can do that. But for instance, they never asked me. They never asked Orrett Marion, or they never asked any of us. They go and they pay some consultant from $500,000 from another place because they don't believe in their own people's ability. And that's a fault that we have to really try to weed that out of our consciousness. And the problem that we have is that you have an attorney general, you have a parliament, you have an attorney general that is not elected. You have an attorney general that is part of the government. I don't know what its constitution says that he's advisor to the government. So what government? Because the government that I know is the British government. It doesn't say that he's the advisor to the local parliament. It says the government. And when you analyze the government in our constitution, is the British system of government. It's the British government. The government really is the governor and the king and the parliament in England. So he's their advisor. He's not advisor to the Caymanian people. And so you need to get your own people in those positions. And you need to have those kind of reforms that can happen. But we don't do it. We just talk. I'm on the radio all the time, talk. There's no action. It's Mr. Ezra say, birds flapping their wings, but no one that the bird can't not flying. And the problem that's some of the things I want to touch on.
Thanks.
And the other thing I would like to touch on was education system. I mean, I don't have any candidate now, and this late now, saying how are they going to fix the system where 75% of our people can't even finish the school to function to get a job. Mm-hmm. You know, they probably can't even function to get the 6-hour the slave labor job at 6 hours an hour. Who's going to fix that? That is still lying there, and nobody wants to touch it. And then they talk about building a middle class in the country. How can you build a middle class in the country when people are making $6 an hour now, and the country, as you say, the country has grown far 10, 15 years ahead of that, and we still paying $6 an hour.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Doc, I'm going to ask you if you could leave us there. So we have one last caller. I think the caller said they just have one question that they want to ask. So it sounds like as if it's going to be brief. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, gentlemen. Morning. I'm going to ask the brief questions because I know you have to leave. I'm just asking about the CUC. Caymanians would like the solar panels straight outright. They don't own the sunlight. And I'm wondering if they can discuss something on that. The solar system should be owned by the Caymanian people. We should not have to hook up with CUC. Thank you. I'll listen.
Thank you very much, caller.
All right. We start with, first of all, one thing I want to finish off with, Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's one thing we'll see that if I could go back and fix in time or change in time, I'd have loved to have seen Mario on off-reg board. And I know people may have what it is they say, but let me tell you something. He's a person who's always well-researched and not afraid. Because we have too much situations right now, people are afraid and then people are worried about people hurting people's feelings and all that kind of stuff too. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that he has always been a strong advocate for Caymanians, and I really have to appreciate that. You know what I mean? And he's spot on again on the fuel, because that's one of the things he and I have a lot of discussions on. I agree with Steve in many instances. The one thing I would say, though, well, Dr. Steve, that is sorry. The one thing I would say is that there are some particular areas, like on the math scores and so forth, where I understand that there are some issues. But overall, I can say to you that when you go to the graduations and you see the amount of passes and everything else that people are getting, I can tell you the education system is not as bad as people make it out to be. You know what I mean? That's one thing I just wanted to put out there. Now, there's some areas that we definitely can improve in on the maths and the sciences and so forth. But overall, if you look at the number of kids that come out of school with 5 or more subjects and everything else, and in some cases we're doing very well across the Caribbean. So we don't want to negate that where people going around thinking that there's an overall failing education system when in fact it is not. I mean, I just want to put that out there. But going back to what he said about the parliament and the reforms, he's perfectly right in that in terms of we need those resources. You know what I mean? And I've already said it on the parliament floor. I remember writing the AG several times to advise on certain things because he's a constitutional legal advisor to both the cabinet and the parliament. And it took a while sometimes to get back a response where sometimes you need it much quicker. But we do recognize that, you know, his office is very busy and everything else and everything else that go with it. And I would love more than anything to be back in a position to, especially now we were going in parliament, to have the likes of Dr. Steve there. Now, I don't know when Steve was saying that nobody don't call on them because I don't think just about every committee I had when I was minister, I call on him. You know what I mean? And I mean, for what he did on the immigration board, bear in mind that he has a practice for himself, but to spend the time to do that and give him back to the country, we can never pay him back for.
So true.
And even on the immigration review, I don't know what became of that. We put together a really good committee. Dr. Steve again was chairing that to get the review done in terms of the immigration reform. But I think that fell away when I basically left. But I was one of them that definitely do recognize what Dr. Steve bring, and I called on him, you know, whenever and wherever I can, as much as we could.
Yeah. Anything on the solar?
Going back to the solar issue, there is, I agree that something needs to be done. And also, forgive me for getting a little bit technical, but Cayman is one of the worst. Well, sorry, I don't want to use the word worst. Cayman has one of the lowest solar penetration rates. That's the right term in the Caribbean. And part of our problem is this. Just about every other Caribbean country except Cayman, and this don't include Birmingham in the Caribbean, have what we call foreign exchange issues. And their biggest foreign exchange, because they have to keep certain foreign exchange reserves and everything else, their biggest foreign exchange spend is on buying oil or buying fuel. You know what I mean? And so from that standpoint, those governments take a very proactive approach in doing more locally because they're not struggling about finding US dollars or anything like that. So as a result, they will be pushing an agenda where they have to spend less of their foreign reserves on buying fuel. So they will go out and they will encourage solar panel and everything else. Because we don't have this US dollar problem, it is one of the things that we have never really taken quite serious. Now, I would love very much where people can actually put the solars on their house, again, within certain safety guidelines, because right now I think it's set up where you sell to the CUC grid and they pay you back something, where some people would actually like to run the solar. And I think where the opportunity when come for that is when the battery backup comes in. Because at the point when the battery backup comes, it's going to be very difficult to say to people, you can't have this or you can't have that.
Because they can store it.
Because now they can store it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I want to give you a quick opportunity for closing comments.
I'm being
told that we're late.
I want to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. But like I said, this is an opportunity now for us to determine the will of the people. And I'm going to ask the people, listen, use your vote. May not be a voice. Do not underestimate the power of the special interest groups. The attacks that I get, I can tell you, there are people that understand, some business people have been told I've been put a bounty on my head. That they didn't make sure Chris loses his seat or whatever. You know what I mean? Because of my position on immigration, because of my position in terms of trying to even get the mortgage company arm going, and even something as simple as the pension reform. OC, that in itself was like pulling teeth just to be able to get people to access their pension to help themselves. But this is about putting money back in people's pocket, giving people opportunities to make the decisions themselves. If we can trust them to vote for us, we should be able to trust them with their money. You know what I mean? So when you're talking about from a platform standpoint, we want the mortgage company in, we want the free health care, we want that universal health insurance, and more importantly, we want people to have greater access to their pension for emergencies. We want to get the reverse mortgage in. There's a lot of stuff that we need to get done. It's about improving the quality of people's life. But I just want to ask one question to people before they go. And this is the question I want to ask them. In a service-based economy, where 95% of us make our living from providing a service, what will happen to your family or your loved ones? God forbid you get a stroke, you get a heart attack, and you're unable to work.
Mm-hmm.
We can no longer live in a country where just about everybody is one medical emergency away from being bankrupt. And this is what this election is going to be about.
Okay.
Thank you,
Folks, don't forget, join Sterling Drainey Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. Have a wonderful, wonderful, loving Valentine's Day, and we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury.
And JN Money. From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. And the Cayman Islands National Museum. Explore captivating exhibits and learn about our unique heritage and culture.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Bright. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.